Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rose Shiweva and I'm back with another exciting video. So today we are having a story time. Yeah, and this was once upon a time, and I would say that this girl that I'm gonna narrate, it's me, but the old version of me, because I feel that decision that I've made that day, it was remarkable but very risky. Okay, so there was this specific summer holiday that I decided that let me travel to Shanghai, after a lot of schoolwork, and I needed some time off. I just needed to relax, and then I decided to go to Shanghai. And as I went to Shanghai, that was like, okay, on a Thursday, and then I arrived on a Friday. When I got there, I went to different places in Shanghai just to enjoy. Shanghai is such a beautiful city, and with so many tourist places like the Bund, seeing the Shanghai Science and Tech, seeing some aquarium places, and then I traveled around, and obviously I had a great time. But the downfall of this story is that time when I traveled, it was around October holiday, when there was a long holiday and a lot of Chinese people were traveling, but there were a lot of services that were not off. So that means there were not so many available hotels, and there were not so many maybe coffee shops that are open and all that type of thing. So this holiday is usually a very busy holiday in China. But me, the brave girl, I went to Shanghai just to let me get away. And in fact, I traveled alone. I didn't tell anyone. I was like, okay, let me just go because it's free time, and that time it was in the normal times, right? So after my whole holiday of traveling around Shanghai, I then realized okay, the days of me staying in Shanghai are over. Okay, so I bought my ticket. No, I didn't buy my ticket for coming back to Nanjing because I stay in Nanjing. I decided let me just not buy the ticket, and then I get to the train station so that I know there'll be a ticket. In China sometimes you can book services, but also it's not always a must to book services, because it seems like there will be always a train ticket to wherever you are going. There will be also always a flight ticket to wherever you are going. So that day I didn't book a ticket to come back to Nanjing. But remember, it was holiday, it was so busy and everyone was traveling. So that day when I decided let me come back to Nanjing, I'm like, okay, I get to the train station. I asked the train people, okay, I want a ticket to come back to Nanjing. And then the train to tech person was like, okay, let me just check in the system, is there any train to come back to Nanjing? And the person was taking 30 minutes to check. Okay, she double checked. Okay, double check. And that was around 4 p.m.-ish, going already to evening time. And it took about 30 minutes for her to check on the system just to see, okay, is there any train available to come to Nanjing? It was 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. She's still checking in the system. There's no option. And I'm like, well, girl, there's no option for going back to Nanjing. So what am I going to do? And then I decided, I told the train lady that, can you please check if there's another connecting way for me? Shanghai and Nanjing is not really a fast city. It's just 2 hours apart. I mean, relatively 2 hours on a fast train. So I knew I could get something to come back to Nanjing. And also I should highlight that when I was coming back the following day, I had an appointment with a Chinese student. I wanted to tutor the next morning. So for that reason, I needed to urgently come back to Nanjing. However, the lady has been in already for 1 hour checking on the system, is there any option to come to Nanjing? Okay. And then I asked her, if there's no train, can you please check if there's any slow train? Even the slow trains were not available. And slow trains, let me tell you, slow trains are taken by people who have not planned their they have not planned their traveling. And also slow trains are it's just a ghetto. You don't want to be sitting in the slow train for 4 hours from Shanghai to Nanjing. But that I resorted to that last option. And then I asked, can you please check if there's any slow train? And then this lady was like, Madam, there's no slow train. And I'm like, there's no slow train, and this is already going to 6 p.m. I've been talking to this lady for 2 hours, and that's a good thing. Service in China, people don't rush you. They don't tell you go. No, they were really giving me so much attention, checking in the system if there's anything. And I'm like, okay, fine. There's no slow train. There's no any fast train. What can I possibly do right now? And that was so funny because I didn't even have a hotel booked that night, so I wouldn't know where to sleep that night. I kept on asking her, can you please check if then there's any bus to come back to Nanjing? And she's like, lady, there's no bus, there's no slow train, there's no fast train. there's no plane and you are in the train station right now. You cannot possibly go to the airport, and it's not like I was that rich to take like air tickets just anytime. Getting an air ticket from Shanghai to Nanjing would cost like 1,000, but on a train, if I have booked earlier, it would just cost me like 100 renminbi. So I'm like, what am I possibly going to do? Okay, so the lady, she's like, okay, May Bamfa. I'm like, May Bamfa, what do you mean? Am I going to sleep on the train? And then, so slowly I was calming down because I was almost like getting angry and pissed off. It's not on her, I was getting angry because of myself. Like, how can I not book my ticket in advance? So that was really, really a difficult point. So at that moment, I was relaxing and trying to calm down. I'm like, okay, Rose, Shiweva, what are you going to do? I know you're smart. What are you going to do? Smart, but not smart enough to book a train ticket in advance. So after that, I sat on the couch in the train station, and then I was thinking, I was looking on internet, I couldn't find anything. And then there was a Chinese person came to me, and this old lady, she looks young, but still she looks young, but with a Chinese person you cannot really relate, is she young or is she old? But she looked charming and still very welcoming. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can talk to her, because she started talking to me. It's like, hey lady, she's talking Chinese, like, how can I help you? Why are you sitting down? Why are you looking like you don't have anywhere to go? And I'm like, yes madam, I don't have anywhere to go. Can you please, I want to go to Nanjing, but I cannot find any train. And then she took out a pamphlet. She's showing me, if you don't have any train ticket right now, don't worry, I can get you sorted. I can get you a bus to go to Nanjing this night, and you just need to pay 150. And I'm like, 150 renminbi, no, I can at least afford 150 renminbi instead of me going to the airport, and all that type of thing. So in this point, I was listening to this Chinese person and slowly believing her story, right? And then I decided, okay, fine. So how do we get this, how do we get this transportation to Nanjing? What are we going to do? And then the lady took out her WeChat. She's like, you just scan my WeChat, just pay me 150. I'll get you a bus to go to Nanjing. You know what I did? I paid the 150, followed the lady. She was now taking me to the stairs, taking me to dark places, like we were walking. It was almost 7 o'clock already. And I'm like, hey, it's already 7 o'clock. What am I going to do this night? This lady, I'm following her. Am I trusting my guts, or I'm just following a lady because I'm in desperate position right now? So I followed the lady. We climbed the stairs. We went in and out. Shanghai train station is a very big place. It's not like this, our African airports. No, it's like an airport on its own. So I followed the lady. We walked on the stage, took some lift, go up, go out, in and out, until we resorted to the last end of the train station, and then we went out. So that means we were now outside. And I'm like, wait, where's the bus? She's like, no, don't worry, calm down, relax, don't worry, I got you covered. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm trusting you with my life right now. And then I had already paid the 150, remember? And then the lady is calling some people on the phone. She's like, yeah, wait, ni hao. I didn't understand. In that time, I was pretty young, I'm like, I was good, I was smart, but I don't know if I was really, really smart, you get? Because this lady was talking, and then it seems like she also didn't really have everything sorted. Okay, I know you're like, Rose, just get to the point already. What happened? How did you go with the truck driver? So I followed this lady. She was making some calls, and then there was a car that came in. I think it's a friend or something. The car came in like a small sedan, and then we got onto the car, and then we hopped on. We were on the highway in Shanghai going, and I'm like, wait, where's the bus? And she's like, don't worry, the bus is coming. The bus is waiting for us somewhere. And I'm like, yo, and remember, we are not talking in English, we are talking in Chinese this time with this lady. We're like talking with my little Chinese that I knew at that time. Okay, I followed the lady, guys, and it was already getting to 8 p.m. and I'm like, yo, it's getting dark, what's happening? Am I ever going to get this bus wherever we're going? I followed the lady. We get somewhere, and the lady was still with me, and the driver as well. So when we got there, I realized we are at the fuel station. Do you know where? Do you know those places where people put fuel on the car? And I've never in my life even spent time in a fuel station in China. I'm like, how, my dear? How am I finding myself in a fuel station? And this is already 8:30. So they dropped me off there, and the lady was like, no, the driver dropped us with the lady there. So we went on the fuel station, and the lady is still with me. Imagine, I paid her 150, and it is already close to 2 hours. I'm with this lady. Hey. So at the fuel station, she's like, okay, calm down, the bus is gonna come. And I'm like, okay lady, I'm trusting you. Until at this point, I'm still trusting this lady. I'm not I'm not realizing what's happening. So now we are at the fuel station. You know, at the fuel station in China, they have some mini shops where you can buy some snacks and all that type of thing. So I was inside now of this fuel station mini snack, and I'm starting to buy water, starting to buy snacks, because now even my stomach is talking to me. I'm hungry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So this lady kept on calling, making numbers. At the last resort, this lady literally took me out. We went at the highway by the fuel station, and she started now stopping cars. She started stopping cars by, and I'm like, what is happening, lady? She's like, no, the bus, something happened to the bus, but we can only get you a car on this highway. Now we are on the highway, guys, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the highway. Little me on the highway with a Chinese woman. And I'm like, what's happening, guys? And nothing clicked. Like, I was still very naive, believing that this lady would give me a bus to Nanjing, because these are desperate measures, desperate moves, and obviously in desperate times you could do desperate solutions, right? So we are now on the highway. They are stopping the cars. We are now stopping together with the lady. Like, we are stopping the cars. The cars are not stopping until when now this gentleman in a very big truck loaded with some, I don't know what type of things are in the truck. The truck is like covered, you know, trucks that have containers, a big container behind. It stopped, and then there's like shru 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 in Chinese, like shru shru. Me, I was not even following up with their conversation. I was just like, okay. The lady was like shru shru shru, Nanjing, shru shru shru, take to Nanjing, what, and I'm like, okay. The last resort is the truck. So the lady quickly scanned the guy's, and it was a man. I didn't even look at his face to recognize, does he have beards or what type of structure does this man have. But all I knew is I wanted to be in Nanjing the next morning. So now the lady scanned, she paid the man, I don't know how much, maybe I was just worth it, 40 renminbi. I don't know how much I was worth it at this point in time. And then I took my whole backpack, climbed on the truck. The lady left, and I said, oh, bye-bye, mama. She was like, bye-bye. Antoine. She was like, safe. And I'm like, I'm not even worried about safety right now. I'm worried to be in Nanjing. Guys, let me take my coffee. This story is too long. Okay, so then what happened after? Obviously, I got on the bus. I climbed up, and then I was now sitting in this position where there's a pillow on top, so that I can at least get a level of be able to see through the window, because you know the truck is so big that now I cannot even reach up to the window. I was little tiny rows. So I got onto the bus, and then we on a truck, and then we traveled. The man was asking me now questions like, where are you from? And this is already 9 p.m. I'm already tired, exhausted after all that I have gone through. So we traveled on the bus with truck, and then we traveled, and that was like a 8 hour traveling trip. And on the way, this man now, when I wanted to use the toilet, and then I tell him like, please, stop, me, go. And then I'm trying to explain in Chinese with sign language. I'm like, I need to use the bathroom. And then the man just stopped by the roadside, guys, in the middle of the night. Me with a truck driver. Like, honestly, what was I thinking? Anything could possibly happen to me, like, at this point. And I'm like, I'm even asking him to drop me to the toilet and use the bushes in China with tall buildings. Okay, I'm shouting, but let me not shout. So I use the bathroom, and then I just get off, and then I get back on the truck, and then I take my position. The pillow is comforting my bum, obviously, and then I take some jackets that I found there, and then I cover myself, and then I sleep. I slept. What was I thinking? Who was I? And then the next morning, that was like around 4 a.m. in the morning. We traveled from around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. from Shanghai to Nanjing. And then around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. that time, then we arrived in Nanjing. Thank God, now I am safely in Nanjing, but a lot could have gone so south in this trip, right? And then he dropped me somewhere in some highways in Nanjing, around Nanjing station, and then I got off. And then I took my backpack. I quickly ran back to school, the university hostel. I'm just like, thank God, I'm in my room. I can possibly now take a proper shower and use the proper toilet. I'm like, oh my God, anything could happen to me. But I went with a truck driver, guys. I'm like, what? Okay, anyways, I made it to my appointment of tutoring that morning. Like, that was around 8 o'clock, and then I went to my tutoring place. I I could have avoided all this mess if I could have already planned the trip way ahead, you know. But that happened. I went with a truck driver, but thank God, at least China is not extreme. I mean, there are extreme people, but this time I really escaped the what? I escaped a sword. I escaped a sword, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until my next video, stay humble, stay positive, and work hard towards your goals. And bye.